Welcome back. So now here we are, 5.4. And hopefully you did what I mentioned back in 5.3 and you brought the files over from 5.3. And it explicitly says you have to have the solution as a starter file for the arraybag.py file. So I'm going to grab the array bagged out file that I copied from before. I've got that, and here's my file. That's my array bag file. I'm going to do correct Control A, Control V. Now I just pasted everything in here from 5.3. I've already updated this, but this is what I had from 5.3. And you scroll down. Oh, I do have the wrong file. Sorry about that. Confused with the different files that I've got. So I need the array bag file from 3. Here we go. So here's my file from 3 that has that add method that we created. There we go. We'll copy it. Control A and V. So that's the only difference that's really going to be in there that we know of is what we did last time. And essentially what they want us to do is to create a remove method. So we've got to come up with a remove method. And since we copied our code from before, we don't have that little place down there where they're telling us where they want it to be. And we'll just implicitly add it down at the end where we added the other, because it is a mutator. So we've got the one mutator that clears everything out. We've got another one that adds to it in memory, checks to see if it's big enough, saves more memory if we need it, and then adds an item to it. What's the next that we've got? So the next one they want us to have is def remove. And we want to remove an item. So you know what? I'm just going to copy some code here. Save me a little bit of typing. It's going to receive self.item. Put some empty spaces in there so we've got working space. And we need to check to see if the item is even in there first. So if the item's in there, we can do what we need to do. If it's not in there, we need to throw an exception, raise an exception. So with that said, first things first, let's deal with this precondition that they're telling us about. And they gave us a precondition right here. That it's in there. It's going to raise a key error if it's not in there. And if it is in there, we're just going to remove it. It's simple logic there. So let's tab in. We need to, first and foremost, check to see if the precondition's there. And let's go ahead. I'm going to put a little comment in there. Check to see if that precondition's there. And then raise the key error if we need to. All right. From there, let's do that conditional. If not, item in self. Well, let's break it down step by step. Let's ignore the not for a second. If item in self. So if item is in self, that's a conditional. So check to see if it's in there. If it's not in there, that's the condition we're actually looking for. So if it's not in there, we're going to raise an error. What error? Well, they told us what error. It's the key error. And let's go ahead and take that item that they passed us, convert it to a string. We'll concatenate it together with another string and say it's not in the bag. Now, I need to close way here at the end. So there we go. Key error, we pass this string to that key error, excuse me, that's getting thrown. And that's it. It's just a conditional and an output statement if that conditional is true. All right. So let's come back. And from here, put a little comment. I want to search for the index of what that item that we're looking for. So at this point, if I get down to here, we haven't thrown an error. We know it's there. We just don't know where it is at this point. So let me find a place to put whatever that index is. Let's call it target index. Give it a value of 0. And I say for target item in self. So I'm looking in self for that item. If target item, that thing that I'm looking for, is equivalent to item. Now wait a minute. For target item in self, oh, this is an iter. So this is a call to that iter method that's right up here. That's this one. It allows us to go through one by one on this structure. So for each item in self, let's go look at it. And we're giving it a nickname. Each one that we look at, we're calling it target item. And if that thing we look at is the same as what we're looking for, there we go. We're looking for a match. So now we say, if they are equivalent, break. If they are, then we break. Come down, If they're not, we're going to say target index plus equals 1. So if we found it, if they found a match, we're done with this structure. And when we found it, target index, well, what is it? Currently it's 0. So if we found in the first position, it stayed 0. If we looked in the first position, that wasn't it, we increase it by 1. Now this has gone up. So if we found it the first go, we looked in the 0 index, then we know that's where it was. If we had to go through it a few times, it got kicked up every time we went through it. So this is accumulating or incrementing as we go, and it's keeping track of which index we found it at. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put another comment in here, and we're going to shift items to the left of the target up by 1 position. So I'm removing things, right? I'm removing things. I'm only removing one thing. I went and found it, and I know where I found it. I found the position at target index. So what is it that we're going to want to do? We want to remove this thing, right? Well, we don't really just remove it. We find out where it is. And then we take things and we overwrite that we're dealing with. Okay. So let's come down here. I'm going to say for I in range target index. I click that to make sure that I didn't type it in wrong. I'm going to deal with the len self minus 1. So we're going from the target range and target index to the end of the array. Length minus 1 is the end because we started at 0. So I'm going to go, I'm looking at that place where we found it. And now from there, what is it that we want to do? Well, I want to take, and this is, let's think about how this is worded. Shift items to the left of the target up by 1 position. It's kind of confusing how I've got this worded, but let's just say shift items to the left, comma, only the ones that are to the right of the target. So the ones that are to the right of the target, we're moving them all over left 1 position. Okay. Let's say which are to the right of the target down by one position. How's that? So I'm going to go through each item to the right of the target, and I'm going to shift it down one position, or to the left. I'm just going to actually get rid of this part. Shift items which are to the right of the target down by one position. All right, I like that. So let's come down. How do we do that? This is the easy part. We're going to say self dot items. This is stuff that's logically in the array. And I'm saying that what's starting at the target, so that's this one. Self.items I, that's where the target item is. So that's our target index. That's what we were looking to remove. So I'm saying it now is being assigned the value of, let me copy this. I plus 1. So I go through this loop, boom, 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 all the way to the end, and that's it. So next thing that I've got is I need to decrease the size of physical memory if needed. Wait a minute, what do you... Well, hang on, let me back up. I'm not even there yet, really. Let's go ahead and decrease the size of logical memory. Self.size, and we're going minus equals 1. Up here we increased, here we're decreasing. Now we need to check to see if this thing is too small. And when I say too small, the logical space used is too small for the amount of space we have that we're paying for. When I say paying for, I use the analogy of a storage unit. So I've got a storage unit and I need to pay rent each month. I don't want to rent month to month to month if I don't have stuff being stored in there. So we look at what we did in the ad, we doubled it because we were getting more stuff. Now, what's the rule on the other side? Well, let's say if len, and it's len self, is less than or equal to len self dot items divided by 4 without any remainder, and two times len self is greater than equal to this array bag dot. Now here's an important value, default capacity. That's how much space we have available in physical memory. All right. That's the end of our condition. If those two conditions are true, and I've got this one, I didn't hit shift, it's got to be, there we go. Well, what is it that we want to do? Well, we want a temp placeholder, just like we did before, and there's that temp placeholder that we had before, right? But we don't want times 2. We're going to go there, but it's dot items. That got us there. I need a for loop to walk through the length of this object that we have. I want to go through each item in our array. And put it in our new smaller version. And that's logically the same thing we did above. And then when we got all done, as is that. So that that should be what we've got to do. And this is substantially larger, and this took longer to go through. But it is fairly straightforward. Look for something. If you can't find it, throw an error. Say, hey, that thing's not here. Well, you know it's there. Let's go walk through and find out what the index is. This loop structure can help us do everything we need to do by set this default value to 0, and if we didn't find it at 0, bump it up by 1. Did we find it at 1? Nope, bump it up by 1. Find it at 2? Nope, bump it up, look again. If we find it, we break out, we skip over this incrementer, and we come down, and now we know our starting point to overwrite what we had. So, with that said, let's see if it will like what we've had. And that was from when I've run it in the past, clearly, because now it's saying we've got an issue. It says I've got index out of range. And I'm here. This is where it's having a problem with me. It's on line 110. So let me go look and see what I can find, and I'll be right back. Well, it took me a while to find out what the error is, and it was one little typo. I haven't tested to see if that's what it is, but I know it is that right there. Put a comma in there before, and then when I went to go fix it, I used the wrong symbol. If len is smaller than, so if physical space is smaller, let's run it and see. There it's happy, and there it's happy. We had it all right with the exception of one little symbol issue, and one of the things I did while I was debugging it was to put this carry on symbol and to carry on to the next line. I could delete this and have it all on one line, but I did the backslash, and that just made these two lines carry on to the next line. Is the way I like to word it. So it's all still the same conditional, it's just split in between two lines by using that backslash. Come do the test. Let's see if it tests it now. It was having a problem there. It runs fine now. So the issue that it was having, it was shooting beyond the length of the array because of that conditional. And it sometimes takes a while to troubleshoot. It's not just you guys who struggle trying to troubleshoot your code. That's me as well. So, as before, copy everything that we've got in here. Copy all this. And I'm going to paste it over to my notepad. So I've got all that code ready for the next one. So I'll see you in the next one. And we haven't changed anything in here, so we should be fine moving forward. So with that said, I'll see you in the next one.